Yeah, we're just announcing the big news today. So I've launched a Kickstarter this morning, and it's meant to fund and direct the majority of what I'm going to be working on for the next year. And how I'm planning to present that here on Twitch and to the people who back us and support us and to the music industry at large is as a record label, as an open source record label, which is a term that I really just made up. But it describes an idea I've been having for about the last 6 months. As I was traveling everywhere on the tour last year, I was talking to people about it and kind of working it out in my mind. Damn, my first record came out in 2007. So I got a lot of years. I'm bad at math, but I got a lot of years in the music industry at many different levels. If you head on over to the Kickstarter link, which is pinned in the chat, it tells the whole damn story. I've played gigantic festivals. I've slept on buses. I've slept on couches. I've slept in fucking hotels. I know the live music industry inside and out. And I've also, at a certain point in that process, taken over the release of that music. Like, it came to be where I was just asking more and more questions about how the music was going to come out and being involved in more and more of the process. To the point where when the pandemic happened, it made the most sense for me to start releasing my own music, and I did. So last year, we released a record, The Wound Is Not the Body, toured it all over the world, sold it all over the world in physical and digital form. And for the purposes of the distributors we worked with, are a label on paper. I just never exactly put that like out publicly that like this is a record label. And also gained control of my back catalog. So all of my previous records, with the exception of the Epic Beardman records, are mine now. So that includes The Failure, Fallen House, Sunken City, the record I made with Alias in 2010, and Kill the Wolf, which came out in 2016, as well as my last record. So in like plotting out the year ahead. Oh, and also to catch you up to speed, I've got a new record, another record that's done. And so that's coming this year.
Okay, let's go.
Saying. Also, this year is the 15-year anniversary of the Fallen House record I mentioned. So that one's been out of print on vinyl for years, and I want to reissue that on vinyl. I've talked also before about wanting to reissue Which Side Are You On? The single with some edited lyrics, some new lyrics. That could be a physical release that happens later in the year, like maybe a limited edition vinyl with a bunch of remixes. I've been thinking about that. So these are things that a record label would do and could do. And going forward and generally, it makes the most sense for me to have the ownership of all my music, right? Because and not to be morbid, but I'm gonna die someday, right? And I've learned a lesson from some of my homies helping organize their catalog once they passed and making it so that it pays their family directly. I've learned the lesson that it's best to get as much as you can while you can under one umbrella and directly like paying you and you only. Because this can be like messy stuff to try and like litigate after the fact or any of that shit. And also it's confusing, complex stuff. So it's not the kind of thing that you'd want to leave in the hands of your loved ones. Like, here, my music makes money. Figure out how to fucking get it. It's best that I do this administration work and get my shit correct, right? In the process of doing that, though, I'm aware so many musicians and so many musicians and bands don't do that and don't know how to do that and go our whole careers without doing that. And it's the sort of thing that I think could be a really good educational project in general, especially if we kind of archive it and carefully start doing streams where we exclusively talk about these types of topics and I break certain shit down and we show you certain shit. And the transparency that Twitch and all that provides makes me think we could do that in a way that would benefit a lot of people, educate a lot of people, and be interesting to a lot of people. which is where I get this idea for this like open source record label, meaning I will just show you everything I'm doing, like as I do it, and we'll talk it through week to week, and I'll pull up the invoices. I'll show you who in the instances where I can, where I'm not going to like violate any, you know, agreement with another business partner who doesn't want to be out there like that. You know, like I'll speak to the people I'm working with and make sure this is cool. But in many cases, I'm sure it will be. For example, the people who manufacture the vinyl. We could do a whole stream just looking at merch, just looking at vinyl options that are available, CD options that are available, and talking through all that shit. This may be totally uninteresting to some people, but to some people who are interested in putting their music out, this may be really, really interesting. And we'll show you what it costs. We'll show you like the real cost of the things that go into what it takes to make a deluxe album package that's got, you know, a USB drive, a hat, a vinyl, a CD. And then also we'll show you like how to get royalties and what royalties look like. And that shit is confusing as fuck, believe me. That'll be a whole ass stream just explaining like mechanicals, publishing, all that shit. But that is, again, money that is generated by musicians' music that is out there. Touring. We could definitely have some fun talking about touring. The other artists who I think will be around and most likely to benefit from it are also like putting out dope music. There's some folks within the community of Twitch. Obviously, my last tour, the VT Experiments in the chat, fucking crushed it as an opener the entire tour and is putting out fucking dope music. Our remix contests month to month keep demonstrating that there's dope musicians watching these streams and paying attention and active in the community. What was that? Thanks for the follow. Lumperly. I also happen to know some incredible fucking musicians who are either not necessarily interested in this side of things or just haven't fully gotten their head around this side of things, but are making great music. And so all those combined factors make me think, well, this label could really function as a label, not just be a home for my music, but also because what we're essentially talking about is the creation of a brand name and a website and a thing that everybody knows what it is. Whatever it is, it's got to become the thing that we put on a t-shirt that is separate from B. Dolan. It's got to become the URL, the overarching like thing, right? The imprint. And once that imprint exists, that opens up the possibility of putting out somebody else's project on that same imprint. So what would that look like if I were to do that? What a label I think has to offer is a stamp of approval at this point. And a label that size has a stamp of approval to offer, meaning like we fuck with this artist and we think you would like this artist too. Which is not nothing, but it's also not enough, I don't think, to like justify like the workload of me taking over a massive amount of administration of other artists' projects, and B, accounting for those sales indefinitely going forward. Because here's the thing, like, I don't want to do that accounting, and I don't want anybody to to need me to do that accounting. And what's the solution to that? The solution to that is I just don't take any money from the artist. So let's say we have a label Bandcamp page that houses all of my releases. If you buy one of my releases from that label Bandcamp page, I will get paid. You can tell Bandcamp which PayPal to send the money to. If you buy somebody else's release, we just send the money to them. So the artist, I think, should keep 100%. In the same respect, we won't make any investment. Like, we're not going to sign you and put $20,000 into your project at this time. That's not possible, right? So that's the understanding. Flip side, pros. if you are at any time approached by any other label that wants that project and you want to leave with your project, no, nothing binds you, right? No binding contract, no multi-year deal, none of that shit, right? So what this would be then is an opportunity for artists to just like become part of this process in the same way that I'm showing people what I'm spending on my project. Maybe we sign an artist, quote unquote, and start looking at what they need. Do they need a website? Do they need a merch line? Do they need tour dates? Do they need whatever? And we start crowdsourcing that process with them. And if they're down to crowdsource that process with the community, then we help, and we do it all in the open. We do artist development in the open. And in that way, like this community can kind of just like become a platform for multiple music acts, and to the music industry, which understands record label. You know, like a record label is an official thing that houses the catalog of a roster of artists. We could be that. So that's the idea. That's the broad idea.